or this is my final live stream for Saturday. How you guys doing? Anyways, how you guys doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Just came back from Chris White's stream. Chris White, as always, does a good job. Let me get this. Let me get this link posted so you guys can tune into my stream. Just hang on 1 second, and it's final live stream for me for the day. And just hang on. Go ahead and copy this link right here, and go ahead and put it right here in case you guys want to check it out. And hang on 1 second. All right, there you guys go. Okay, okay, just posted the link right there. Going to talk about, okay, Cyclone Eloise had just hit the port city of Mozambique, a port city called Beria. That actually has been devastated by cyclone. That city was actually devastated by Cyclone Idai 2 years ago. So Mozambique is just in a crisis right now. Mozambique has been devastated by a cyclone. They also have a lot of insurgency right now with ISIS sympathizers. And right now, the world needs to pay attention to what's going on in Mozambique. The ISIS is trying to gain a foothold there. Cyclones damaged a key port city, and the Mozambique army is just too ill-equipped to take them on by themselves. And so far, the president of Mozambique, Felipe Nyusi, has been refusing outside help. And that is just that's just disgraceful, and it's just insane that that's going on. And something needs to be done about that. Okay. Also, the more that I've looked into what's going on in South Africa, the ANC still has not had a plan to roll out the vaccines for the people that want them, and that is just absolutely disgraceful that the ANC still does not have a plan. And Ellen Johnson Sirleaf says that Africa may not get the vaccine until 2022, but actually, South Africa already has the vaccine. They just don't have a plan. The ANC government doesn't have a plan to roll out the vaccine, unfortunately. I mean, the South African government just doesn't have a plan to roll out the vaccine, and it's just absolutely disgraceful. Now, get back to the COVID-19 vaccine. I talked about that. That I'm a supporter of it. I think the vaccine does work. However, there's protocol to be followed. But when Hank Aaron, a great baseball player who broke Babe Ruth's home run record and hit 715 home runs when he broke it, and eventually he ended up with 744 home runs, and was an African-American, broke a lot of racial barriers in baseball. Jackie Robinson was the first African-American to break the racial barrier in baseball. But Hank Aaron, nevertheless, hit 744 total home runs. He got the COVID-19 vaccine earlier this month, but recently passed away. He passed away in his sleep, but he was 86 years old, okay? He probably more or less just, I believe, died from an old age. Right now, with the vaccine, the chances of getting an allergic reaction are 11.1 out of a million. Does it go on? yes. But the people who have gotten the COVID-19 from after getting the vaccine, one, user error, but then two, like I said, you got to wait 2 weeks. But a lot of the people that have gotten the COVID-19 vaccine after getting that have gotten the COVID-19 after getting the vaccine, they don't have a serious case typically, and typically the cases are gone after a day and a half. So like I said, it's not 100% deterrent. It's not 100% protectant, but it is nevertheless, I firmly believe that it is helpful. So, hope you guys are doing well. I know it's almost midnight in South Africa right now, so most of you guys are probably going to sleep right now. But one thing the ANC has really screwed up on, the beaches don't need to be on lockdown right now. The beaches provide a lot of tourism revenue for South Africa, particularly Cape Town, but not just Cape Town, Port Elizabeth, and also Durban. Now, does there need to be a limit of people on the beach? I would say yes. And social distancing needs to be enforced. But the beach is outdoor. It's not an insulated indoor area. The beaches could be open, and that would generate a lot of revenue into South Africa's economy. Particularly right now, a lot of airlines are having they're fixing the vents in their air conditioners. What I mean by that is they're fixing the vents in their air conditioners where it's not just circulated air; it's new air coming out from the vents, and they've done that. And so if you're and that most airlines have a mandatory mask policy. So the chances of you getting the COVID-19 on an airplane have significantly gone down. So like I said, South Africa could keep the beaches open. There's a lot of other measures they could take to keep their economy running, but they need to keep the beaches open. And I just think that's really silly and disgraceful that they're not doing that. And also, just hang on one second. I'm gonna post this link to the Telegram group. Just hang on one second. Well, hang on. I'm gonna post this link to the Telegram group. So just everybody, just hang on one second. If anybody wants to tune in that way, just hang on. Post a link to the Telegram group. And so, like I said, they need to have the beaches open for you guys so you guys can go to the beach. And the chances, if you social distance and go to the beach and wear a mask when you're on the sand, the chances of you catching the COVID-19 are very, very low. And it's just really silly that they have the beaches closed right now. I firmly believe. It's just really ridiculous that they have the beaches closed, and South Africa's losing a lot of major tourism revenue right now because of it. So just hang on one second. Okay. So that's the latest. Okay, now here's the thing with right now that's going on with Joe Biden. I don't know. Some of you guys have seen some of my other videos about it. I've talked about it, but he has a transgender assistant health and human services secretary. But the thing is, we don't know if it's a man dressing as a woman or if the woman has had a sex change. Okay, here's the thing though. Okay, as I pointed out, that's not my business. Okay, that's her business. Or his business, however you want to say it. But the thing is, she had ordered a lot of COVID-19 patients into nursing homes, and that really, when she was head of Pennsylvania Emergency Management Association, and that killed a lot of people in the nursing home. And she said, well, she didn't know. We didn't know a lot about COVID-19 at the time. We didn't know how easy it spread. I believe she knew more than she let on because she removed her 95-year-old mother from the nursing home before she admitted all those COVID-19 patients. So I firmly believe she's got blood on her hands. That's what I firmly believe, and I believe that it was a poor pick for President Biden to pick this lady as Assistant Health and Human Services Secretary. Now, on Trump's farewell, it was more of his Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, but Donald Trump as well. Their farewell to China was they were talking about all the human rights abuses that occur in China, all the oppressions of the Uyghur Muslims in the Xinjiang province and the concentration camps, and they noted how China is encroaching on sovereign territories like Vietnam, the Philippines, and Indonesia. And I firmly believe that that was the right thing to do because no other major world leader has had the guts to stand up to China before President Trump did. And President Trump did an awesome thing by standing up to China and doing what he did right there. All right, now back to South Africa. Yesterday, as you guys know, yesterday was the anniversary of Isandlwana and Rorke's Drift. Talked about this earlier. We'll go further into the history of the Zulu people and the Anglo-Zulu War. Okay, the Zulu typically was a small and ineffective kingdom of only about 400 people when Shaka was born. He was born to Zinza Kahona and Nandi, and he was the illegitimate child. Nandi was not one of Zinza Kahona's wives. So Zinza Kahona banished Nandi and Shaka, and they went to live with the Mathito tribes. Well, Shaka came back, and he was eventually awarded the throne. He was awarded the throne, and then he allied with the Mathito, and they conquered the Ndwandwe, and that's why the Ndwandwe is largely out of South Africa now, because of all the conquering that he did. And eventually, Shaka was overthrown by his half brother, King Dingan. And Shaka killed any pregnant woman, any woman he supposedly impregnated, he killed because he didn't want anybody to succeed him as king. And he also ruled with an iron fist. When his soldiers ran around, they had to run barefooted to build up the calluses in their feet. But Shaka ran with sandals, so he saw himself as superior to his own men. Now, he had good military strategies, and one of the ways the Zulu hunted animals, they had a stick that was very effective. It was called the Isakila. And they practiced with rolling pumpkins in the villages. And the Isakila, you try to throw the Isakila at the rolling pumpkin. And the Isakila usually would, if you threw it right, would break the animal's legs, and they'd beat the animal after they got it down, and that provided a lot of food for the Zulus. Another weapon that Shaka had was called the Ikwa. The Ikwa was kind of like a combination of a sword and a dagger. And the reason it was called the Ikwa is because when you stab somebody, the person that you stabbed was like, Ikwa. It was called the Ikwa. And that was an effective weapon as well. Typically, the Zulu shields were made out of cowhide, and those were effective effective shields as well. And before Shaka came around, the warfare was more, African warfare was more focused on the rituals and the ethics, but Shaka made warfare all about victory against the opponent. But then Shaka was overthrown by his half-brother Dingan, and then Dingan eliminated Pete Retief and a lot of the Afrikaners, but then Dingan suffered at the Battle of Blood River when the Afrikaners basically kicked his butt. Not one Afrikaner died in the Battle of Blood River, but then almost over 1,000 Zulu died. And how that happened was he circled the wagons around, and so the Zulu couldn't outflank them. And the Afrikaners had superior weapons where they could just use the rifles and the muskets and fire at the Zulus, and the Afrikaners were good marksmen. Eventually, King Dingan did have a grandson named Cetshwayo, and Cetshwayo was a peaceful king, and Cetshwayo tried to peacefully negotiate with the British and the Afrikaners, and Cetshwayo said, the British, you have your land here, and then I have my land here. But the British saw a bunch of untapped diamonds in Cetshwayo's land and wanted to encroach on him, but Cetshwayo said no. So then they come into Asandawana, which was sovereign Zulu territory, and basically they got their butts kicked. And I've pointed out in previous streams, if you guys have not seen the film Zulu Dawn, I highly recommend that you guys do see the film Zulu Dawn. And that's what happened at Asandawana. Now, Rorke's Drift, the Zulus ventured into British territory, which was forbidden by King Cetshwayo, but it was a rogue regiment that did that. And they invaded a British outpost of about 211 men, but the British held them back. They were vastly outnumbered, but the British held them back, and the Zulus lost a key battle at Rorke's Drift. 11 British soldiers were awarded the Victoria Cross for what happened at Rorke's Drift, and that's the highest medal a British soldier can get. So if you guys have not seen the film Zulu, a 1964 film Zulu, I highly recommend that you guys see that. Actually, in the 1964 film Zulu, Mangosuthu Buthelezi played King Cetshwayo in the film, and I thought that was really awesome. I've always been a fan of Mangosuthu Buthelezi. He's still alive at, I believe, 91 years old now, and he was instrumental in in the founding of the Nkatha Freedom Party. And his methods were less extreme. His methods were non-violent methods to try to get rid of the apartheid system. And Mangosuthu Buthelezi lived a hard life, but he's still a devout Christian. He lost most of his kids already, either to car wrecks or to HIV/AIDS. But he's still very politically active at his age and doing the best he can for South Africa. And that's just amazing that he's doing all that in spite of all the personal tragedies that he's had. So how you guys doing? Let's get the chat going. How you guys doing? If you guys want to type something in the chat, if you want to ask me any questions, go right ahead. I don't know how many other people have tuned into my other streams, so if I sound redundant, I apologize. I did talk about, though, how South Africa's restaurant industry is in trouble, and you guys may not have restaurants for a long time because of the new rules that the Department of Labor has made. And that is just ridiculous that they're making employers give raises to employees just because the employees have a clean uniform. That is just ridiculous. And then making first and second year employees get raises in December, even though the restaurant may not have the revenue at the time to give the employees a raise. That's just ridiculous and another example of the ANC's dictatorial measures. So again, how you guys doing? If type in the chat, see if you guys, like I said, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to type in the chat. How you guys doing? You guys doing all right? You guys doing pretty good? And go about another 15 minutes, and glad you guys are here. I know it's getting late in South Africa, and a lot of you guys probably just want to go ahead and go to bed. I can't say I blame you, but Chris White had a good attendance at the Night Owls from his Night Owl stream, so that's why I decided to stream again. One more time. So okay, latest news out of India. India has begun a vaccination campaign for about 300 million of its 1 billion residents. Their goal is to try to vaccinate almost the entire. It would be equal to the entire population of the United States with Prime Minister Modi, and that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to vaccinate as many people as he possibly can. And props to him for trying this, but I don't see how he's going to be able to do this. And they're also, like the National Serum Institute manufactures the AstraZeneca vaccine, which is the National Serum Institute of India, and that's the vaccine that South Africa is getting. And like I said, I think I'm okay with that vaccine. That vaccine's not like Pfizer or Moderna, but it is 70% effective against the coronavirus. And okay, Swearing BJ says, I'm okay. Thanks for asking. Did you get the shot? If yes, one. Okay. All right. I'll talk about that. Okay. Yes. I'm trying to think the exact, okay. About 4 or 5 days ago, I got the first shot of Pfizer. Pfizer is the company that vaccinated me. And I got the vaccine, and you have to wait 10 to 14 days before the vaccine takes effect. And after the first injection, I will be 82% protected against the virus. Now, I have to go back in 3 weeks on February 10th and get my second injection. And then wait another 10 to 14 days, and then I will be 95% protected against the COVID-19 virus. So yes, I have gotten the vaccine. I've not had any allergic reactions. I've gotten a sore arm, but the sore arm has gone away, and the sore arm that I got, I'm actually holding my iPhone with. So, like I said, I've not had hardly any complications. I felt a little bit groggy for a couple of days afterwards, but that's normal. That shows the vaccine's working and the vaccine's taking effect. So yeah, I got the vaccine, Swearim DJ. Thank you very much for asking. So yeah, I got the vaccine. And I highly recommend that people get it. Now here's the thing. I think it's okay for South Africa because they're going with the AstraZeneca vaccine, but the Sino vaccine with China, I wouldn't highly recommend. There are a lot of massive protests in the Philippines and in Indonesia right now. Those two countries went with that vaccine, and a lot of people don't trust it. One, because the Chinese lab is what caused the COVID-19, I believe. Number two, that vaccine is only 50% effective against the COVID-19. The vaccine that I got, Pfizer, is 95% effective against the COVID-19. The other company that's doing vaccines here in the U.S., Moderna, is 95% effective as well, 90 to 95%. The AstraZeneca vaccine, which is what South Africa has bought from the National Serum Institute of India, the AstraZeneca vaccine is 70% effective against the virus. Lone Wolf Zede says the vaccine we will get from India here in SA, I don't know if it will be effective. It's been proven 70% effective in several tests. I think it's okay to get. There have not been complications from it. There was an explosion at a lab manufacturing the vaccine, but it didn't look like it had to do with the manufacturing of the vaccine. It had to do with some constructions they were adding on to the plant because of the massive production of the vaccines, and the construction crew messed some stuff up. Unfortunately, 5 people died in that explosion, but it don't look like it had anything to do with the vaccine in and of itself. So I recommend that you guys get the vaccine if you guys can. I know the ANC is going to have it where It's going to be them first, the black majority second, and white South Africans are probably going to be last on the priority list. But whenever you guys can get the vaccine, I recommend that you guys do it. And you can go, like I said, if you go to a private healthcare facility versus public, you're not going to have all that reverse discrimination as much. So, like I said, I differ with germ warfare and Amy LaRue and a lot of people over this vaccine. But I've done my personal research on the vaccine, and a lot of people that get COVID after this vaccine, the ones that do get it, it's rarely a serious case. It's a case of COVID-19 that goes away a day and a half to 2 days afterwards. But it's your own personal decision. Like I said, I recommend it, but I recommend that you also do more research for yourself. The reason there's a lot of distrust in the vaccine right now is because a lot of people are so distrustful of world leaders right now because of the way a lot of world leaders have handled the COVID-19 situation, is what I firmly believe. But I believe a lot of pro-vaccine people and people that know what the vaccine's really about need to get more tech savvy. I'm one of these people that needs to get more tech savvy so they can be able to tell their viewers or tell their audiences what the vaccine's all about and all the positives and the negatives and the potential side effects and everything like that. Like, prime example, cases in Mississippi have gone down. We were averaging 2,500 to 3,000 cases, but we're getting now under 2,000. And this is the first time we've been under 2,000 new cases of COVID-19 in a while. Yesterday it was under 2,000, and the cases are slowly but steadily going down right now. And that's a good sign, to be honest with you. So that's, like I said, that's my position on the vaccine. And okay, and then Lone Wolf Zede says a wealthy Salvadorian Rupert got his vaccine in Switzerland. He was attacked on social media for it. Well, I think that's pretty disgraceful that he was attacked on social media for it. He got his vaccine, and if other people have other evidence that's been documented of Brett, the PCR test is not a reliable test. Like I said, I firmly disagree on that. I mean, they have done numerous tests on this, and they have done the chances of anybody getting allergic vaccine from either Pfizer, or allergic reaction from the vaccine of Pfizer or Moderna is 11.1 out of a million. Okay, the only thing that the media a lot of times is reporting is that it's 10 times higher than the flu vaccine. The flu vaccine is 1.3 out of a million. Now, if you've had allergic reactions to other vaccines in the past, they advise you to not get it. They advise you to not get the vaccine if you've had an allergic reaction to other vaccines in the past. And Johann Rupert, that was disgraceful that people lambasted Johann Rupert for getting the vaccine. You know, Johann Rupert was just trying to protect himself, and he's just trying to protect his loved ones by going and getting the vaccine. And there's just a lot of distrust. I mean, yes, Hank Aaron got the COVID-19 vaccine, and then about 3 weeks later, he died. But he was 86 years old. So he could have died of natural causes, number one. Number two, a lot of other people, along with Hank Aaron, a lot of other black celebrities and civil rights leaders went and got the vaccine, and they're doing just fine. Okay? We don't know what the cause of death is, number one. Number two, he was 86 years old, so a lot of times natural causes can be the cause of the death of an 86-year-old man. He was an excellent baseball player, and he will be missed. He was also an excellent person, but he was also a very, very old man. That's the same as the legendary news anchor Larry King. He's just a very old man, and a lot of times if you're that much older, I mean, I still say getting the vaccine is better than not doing anything at all. I don't know how much more protection you can get, but I'm not in my 70s, I'm not in my 60s, not in my 50s, not even in my 40s. So, you know, I outweighed all the positives and negatives, and I was more scared of the COVID itself than the vaccine. I mean, the COVID scares me more than the vaccine because, I mean, Larry King died of the COVID. Okay, we do know that. We also know that, I mean, I've known people that have gotten the COVID. I mean, I know one lady who was an emergency room nurse that got the COVID, and she died from it. I mean, it happens, and I've seen it. I've seen people when they get the COVID have just mild and minor symptoms, like the flu, and a lot of times that is the case, but the fact of the matter is you just don't know. You just don't know how the COVID's going to hit you when you get it. Now, with that being said, like I said, I think the ANC could open up the beaches during the lockdown. It's disgraceful that they don't. They could open up the beaches. They could allow foreign visitors into South Africa if the foreign visitor has documentation that they've been vaccinated. And that could boom the tourism economy. They could allow foreign visitors into South Africa. They could also, like I said, the no alcohol ban is ridiculous. I don't drink that much, but a lot of liquor stores could deliver to the homes wearing a mask. I'm not. I'm healthy, and I don't get out much in the winter. Not a lot of contact with elderly or weak people. That's your personal decision, Swarm DJ. That's your personal decision, and I don't. I mean, I'm not going to not welcome you to my channel because I have a disagreement with you over the vaccine. Thank you for voicing your opinion. The delivery the people could earn extra money delivering alcohol to these people's homes and delivering cigarettes. They did not have to ban alcohol and tobacco, and they did not have to ban the transport of it. Well, you can have alcohol on you, but you can't transport it, and you also can't distribute it. And the no alcohol ban and the no tobacco ban is it's just silly, to be honest with you. It's silly and it's senseless, and it hasn't contributed to a reduction in COVID-19 fatalities or COVID-19 cases, to be honest with you. And parts of this lockdown are ridiculous. Now, that one guy that got arrested for buying his baby formula, they were out of baby formula. It was the middle of the night. And MF says, so true, Brett Sessoms, ridiculous. I agree. And they were out of baby formula. And he went to the pharmacy to get it, which you legally can do, by the way. You just have to have proof that you're there for a good reason, and a medicinal reason is one. And he had the receipt. He showed the cops the receipt, but then the cops arrested him. The cops arrested him. They made the wife come bail him out of jail, and the wife had her baby with her. You couldn't get a sitter, a babysitter that time of night. And they exposed the husband, the wife, and the baby, all three, to the COVID-19. The husband's going to sue the crap out of the police department, and I don't blame him for doing that, to be honest with you. You just don't do stuff like that. I mean, there was proof that he was out for a medicinal reason. If you have an emergency medical reason, you can leave during past curfew. You just have to have documented proof that you are there or you are going there. You can go to the hospital at any time. You can go to the pharmacy at any time. You just have to show them your receipt. It's just asinine that somebody would arrest somebody for something like that. So yeah, in South Africa, apparently you can get arrested for buying baby formula during the lockdown. Martin, what do you mean that's? I don't get what you're saying. I don't get what you're saying, Martin. That's typo. Okay, all right, that's cool, Martin. I understand what you're saying. So, I mean, do you guys think the lockdown's going to continue, or you think it's going to continue well into next year? You think I personally think right now the ANC is holding a lot of those vaccines hostage, to be honest with you. I don't think they have a plan for distributing them, and I think they're going to give it all to their cronies first before they let the average South Africans do it. Long as they said the cop said that he had an attitude problem, and that is, okay, the cop said that he had an attitude problem, and that's why he got arrested. I kind of have a hard time believing that because I've seen the SAPS in action at the Senecal protest, and there were peaceful protesters protesting the farm murders, and they threw some flashbang grenades right at those protesters. Martin said, I'd rather just obey and then not risk being arrested by some power-hungry cop. I mean, I agree with that, but I mean, and I normally support the police. This is just an example of the ANC government and its cronies exercising their authority over something that really didn't need to be exercised, to be honest with you. And then another thing, there was evidence that the SAPS and their armored vehicles tried to run over some of the peaceful protesters. That happened in Senecal as well. So right now, I hate to say it, but there are plenty of good SAPS officers right now, but I also don't trust a lot of them either. I think if the curve will be like any flu season, regardless of vaccination, lockdowns return at least 2 to 3 times a year. Like I said, I don't see the lockdowns holding up. I mean, I do know the ANC has the vaccines right now. They have a good bit of them, but they just don't have a plan for distributing them right now. South Africa's out of control. Police is out of control, says MF. Our state COVID is a fear monger. To a certain degree, I agree with it. Now, with that being said, I do agree with Bantu Holomisa when he was on Chris's channel that the COVID-19 is not some conspiracy theory. It's a real virus. It's a deadly virus, and we need to get it under control. That part I do agree with. But there are some things that could be done that that the ANC is not doing. Prime example. If somebody's not wearing a mask, and I believe in wearing a mask, anytime since the COVID, I've gone with a mask. Okay, I believe that. Minus the if. Okay, here's the thing, but you don't put somebody in jail for wearing a mask. You make them pay. I'd say you may make them pay a fine, and that's it. Because if you put somebody in jail for wearing a mask, number one, that's going to put they obviously don't care about the COVID-19 if they're not wearing a mask, so they may have it. You're putting the prison guards at risk, and you're putting the prison guards' families at risk doing that. That's number one. Number two, you are releasing violent criminals to make room for COVID-19 violators. That makes no sense whatsoever. You know, South Africa's government's basically broke. If you made people pay a fine for that, you could increase your revenue like really quickly. So I really agree. As long as China keeps on releasing virus, okay, yep. Well, okay, all of their population, yes, that is actually true. Well, there's some truth to that. Now, there were some rumors that not a fact, speculation. Okay, well, there are some rumors that that the Chinese government lab, where more than likely the COVID-19 originated. It originated in Wuhan in a lab. There was a guy doing bat research, and there were some people in this lab that had COVID-19 symptoms as early as 2019. The government put a cover up on it. And also the lab was next to a wet market. That is true. Now, there are rumors that they created this virus to try to use on their people in Hong Kong because of all the Hong Kong democracy protests that are happening right now. That report's been unfounded, but what we do know, more than likely, it did originate in a Wuhan lab. Now, there were some reports by some American scientists in the American media that backed up China's claim at saying it originated in nature. But one of the head media bosses, or the head science organization's bosses, said, we don't know that. The only reason we said that is because many of our Chinese scientist friends were getting death threats if we didn't say it, and if they didn't say that it originated in nature. We don't know 100% that it originated in a Wuhan lab, but we're 95 to 98% certain that it originated in a Wuhan lab. I'm not sure if they used it, we're going to use it on their own people because of Hong Kong, but I think more or less it was due to government incompetence in the Chinese lab, and nobody should have a wet market right next to a laboratory. Something should have been done about that. So I think it was just more or less ineptness and incompetence on the Chinese Communist Party rather than trying to use it on their own people in Hong Kong. But it is concerning how they are cracking down on a lot of Hong Kong protesters and in the Hong Kong democracy. Hong Kong was transferred from the UK to China on July 1st, 1997. But the agreement was China is not supposed to have full autonomy over Hong Kong until 2050. That is on the basic law, or not 2050, 2047. And the Chinese government it's exactly like the Q fever a decade ago. Some outbreak places. Fair point. Well, okay, and then a lot of Hong Kong protesters are getting angry about that because China's steadily enforcing their law, because under the transfer agreements, Hong Kong was still supposed to be able to democratically elect their region's leaders, have freedom of speech, even if it meant speaking out against the Chinese mainland, have freedom of assembly, and have freedom of religion. Well, a lot of Hong Kong activists are steadily showing up missing and being found in mainland China. It's like they're being abducted. That happened to a Hong Kong bookseller one time. And that happened. And so China is violating the basic law agreements that were between the UK and China. And now they're trying to get rid of the peaceful assemblies that a lot of the Hong Kong democracy protesters are lawfully doing. So, DJ, I think normal flu triggers positive. I think a normal flu triggers a positive test too. Yeah. Like I said, here's my experience, okay? The flu shot, it only protects you against like 4 out of the 6 strands of the flu. Okay. But every time I've gotten the flu shot, this is every time I've gotten the flu shot, I don't get the flu. If I forget to get the flu shot, I typically get the flu. So I still think it's better to get the flu shot. It reduces your chances of getting the flu by 60%. Now, if you've had allergic reactions to vaccines in the past, I don't recommend it. But I do recommend getting the flu shot. I'll give you an example. I've talked about this before, but I don't know if you guys have heard this. There were 3 Alaska healthcare workers that had allergic reactions to the COVID-19 vaccine. One had a major one, 2 had minor ones, but the one that had a major one, she had it in the hospital. They took her to the ICU and they pumped her full of antihistamines, and she was fine after that. And she was only in there for about a day and a half. And she said, I don't regret getting the COVID-19 vaccine because it protects me against the COVID. The other 2 Alaska healthcare workers had said the same thing. They had minor allergies, but they said they didn't regret getting the vaccine. So, like I said, I had a flu shot last year, did not get the flu. I agree with Long Wolf ZA. It could change, but every year, every single time I get the flu shot, I don't get the flu that year. Now, if I forget to get it, I typically get the flu. I mean, that's not everybody's story. One of my physical therapists, he got the flu shot typically every year, and he'd still end up getting the flu, but that's also a rare case. Most people I know that get their flu shots, they either don't get the flu or they have a very mild case. Prime example, one of the years that I had a flu shot, because I was working so much on the night shift, I wasn't getting proper rest. My body was trying to get the flu, but the antibodies in the flu shot were fighting it off. I went to the doctor, and that's what the doctor said was going on. My body was trying to get the flu, but the antibodies from the flu shot were fighting it off. So basically, that's what happened. Oh, Joe Biden's only been in office for a few days, but he's already running our country into the ground. He's took away 11,000 jobs. There's this Keystone pipeline that runs from the United States to Canada, and it's an oil pipeline, and it's created over 11,000 jobs. Well, Joe Biden just signed an executive order killing the Keystone pipeline, and that has cost us 11,000 jobs. And so the unemployment has increased already under Joe Biden due to one of his stupid executive orders. And with oil, as long as you're doing everything correctly, you're not going to hurt the environment. They've actually done studies on that. The Trans-Alaska Pipeline, when they put it in the wilderness in Alaska, the caribou population actually increased rather than decreased. So as long as you do it correctly, you're not going to typically hurt the environment all that much. But nevertheless, Biden did sign an executive order banning the Keystone pipeline, which was, I personally think, pretty stupid. Lone Wolf ZA said $15 minimum wage. What are your thoughts on it, Brett? Okay, here's what I think about that. I think that a lot of businesses are not going to be able to hire people because the minimum wage is going to be higher. I think the good minimum wage workers that are doing all they can, they'll keep their jobs and they'll actually be better off. But our economy is going to go down and the business revenues are going to go down because the minimum wage is just entirely too high. I mean, I think the minimum wage should be raised, but I think $15 an hour is just too much. I think $15 an hour is just over the top. That's my firm opinion. Ask what you guys think, but I think it's going to cost too many people, too many jobs, like the stupid regulations that the South Africa restaurant industry is implementing, where the workers have to pay $5,000 a month to this panel in the Department of Labor, and then the owners have to pay about $25 or $30 a month. And then pay raises have to be given for people that have clean uniforms, and pay raises have to be given to first and second year workers. As I mentioned before, there's over 700 restaurant owners in South Africa, and there's over 3.5 million restaurant workers. So the panel and the Department of Labor, owned by the ANC, is going to be getting rich off of this stupid move. And that's going to kill South Africa's restaurant industry. Wimpy's may no longer be there, if you ask me. Thus more illegal labor. If Biden, he's already stopped construction of the wall. Yeah. I mean, there'll be more illegal labor, and then a lot of businesses will be engaging in illegal activity, paying these illegal immigrants cash under the table. They're going to be sending money back to their families in Mexico and Guatemala, and El Salvador. And then, the money's not going to circulate through the economy, and that's what's going to happen. and that $15 minimum wage is going to lead to a huge increase in illegal immigration, particularly since Joe Biden is going to stop construction of the wall on the U.S. Mexico border. Now, on a positive note, Twitter has banned some Antifa supporters' accounts and Antifa accounts because Antifa has been promoting violence and insurrection throughout the West Coast. And Twitter typically does not silence their radical leftist voices, but Twitter has on this occasion, and I really have to commend Twitter for doing that. Finally, Twitter has stepped up to the plate and done that. However, I do think they need to reinstate President Donald Trump, our former President Trump, because of all Trump called for was law and order, and they banned his account. And then President Trump, as Chris White pointed out, when the cops were on break, he let the cops relax in his hotel room. This lockdown is destroying South Africa and its citizens. Yes, I mean, I firmly agree that this lockdown is destroying South Africa and its citizens, and it's not helped the COVID-19 cases. 1/3 of all COVID-19 cases throughout Africa have been in South Africa. The COVID-19 evolved in South Africa. The lockdown has not worked, and it's only increased the government's power, and the ANC has not enforced that lockdown in ANC-friendly areas. Plus, the ANC government gave the taxi cab drivers everything they wanted. It doesn't work out that way. I mean, and because there was not a limit of how many people could ride in a taxi, and there wasn't enforcement of the mask rule in the taxi, a lot of people got sick that way. And Fikile Mbalula, I believe, is largely to blame for a lot of that. I've done videos on that, blaming Fikile Mbalula, the Minister of Transport, for that. Can't believe a Big Mac is over $5. Like we pay almost $2 in South Africa. Yeah, everything in America is more expensive than in South Africa. That's just the reality of it. I did have the lung capacity of a 65-year-old 10 years ago, but I started jogging after a year or two on my way. Less smoking as normal level. Well, congratulations to you, Swear DJ. That's thumbs up for you. Yep. Exercise is good for you, and way to get quit smoking. As much as I think people shouldn't smoke, I don't smoke. I've smoked before, not heavy. I smoked like a pack a month. I was never a heavy smoker. But smoking, nothing good comes out of smoking, I firmly believe. But I don't think the ANC should take away from your liberties and ban tobacco either, to be honest with you. Particularly considering how a bunch of South Africans love their cigarettes and they love their alcohol. Lone Wolf Zeddy says, I need to exercise. Yeah, it's hard to get started, I agree. But when I started exercising, I've lost about 12 pounds since then. I don't know what that is in kilograms. But I've now lost close to 12 pounds. So, and I'm starting to feel a lot better since I started exercising. And I agree, banning ivermectin is what MF is talking about. And that's very effective against the COVID as well. And I think they should have not arrested that Pakistani doctor for coming to South Africa, with that ivermectin and was going to distribute it, because it's been proven to work against the COVID-19, to be honest with you. It has been proven, but I think banning that drug, even though I personally got the vaccine, I think banning that drug is just asinine, because we need to do all we can to combat COVID, and I believe that this drug is an effective combatant against the COVID-19, and for the ANC and their cronies to arrest that Pakistani doctor, I think it's firmly ridiculous, to be honest with you. In my personal opinion. So, yeah, and the ANC government did that. Now, it's just outright disgraceful and just outright ridiculous that happened. But like I said, but you guys be safe. I recommend that you guys wear a mask. Okay, 220, 462 pounds. Gotcha. Well, wait, I can honestly tell you weigh less than I do, but just try to keep losing weight, and I believe that it'll get better for you in the long run. And I firmly believe that. I believe, like I said, it'll get better for you in the long run. All right. Let me think what else that I was going to talk about. Have they still been playing rugby and soccer in South Africa since the COVID-19? Have they been playing sports? They have been in the U.S., but it depends on which state you're in. But like the state of Washington, the stadiums are empty of fans. You can't, if you're a fan, no fans can play in there. And in like Wisconsin, where the Green Bay Packers play in Lambeau Field, it's limited capacity, like only about 11,000 out of 53,000. Okay, Long Wolf Zeddy said yes, but no fans. Thanks for answering the question. In some states in the U.S. is like that, but in some it's not. But right now, a lot of pro football teams are doing limited capacity. Some are doing no fans, but most of them are doing limited fans right now. So that's kind of how it is. I think soccer's not going to be a big deal because you're not in close contact with your opponents very much or your teammates. But with rugby, I have a big fear that that's going to increase to the COVID-19. So I'd be skeptical about rugby. Cricket and soccer, not really. Although I'm mad at South Africa cricket right now because they're demanding quotas worse than rugby for black players, and they're not hiring certain coaches or certain players just because the cricket player's white or Indian, and South Africa has lost a lot of respect in the cricket world because South Africa cricket's becoming a joke, and they're more focused on quotas than they are with winning, and that's just ridiculous. And I'm not going to pay attention to South Africa cricket or follow it for the longest time now because of the quota system. And I think the quota system has definitely hurt South Africa in sports, to be honest with you. MF says the judge in the UK has given an order for patient to be treated. Ever mentioned patient has recovered quickly in ICU, then going to the normal ward. I agree. I think the ivermectin should be allowed, but I think with all the regulations right now, I don't think it's ever going to get that way. But props to the judge for ordering the patient to be treated with it because it's worked. I mean, because it's worked, and we need to be able to treat this COVID with what we have available, and the ivermectin must be doing that. Lone says, Swear DJ, well done on transforming yourself. Good job. Yeah, I gave you a thumbs up to Swear DJ for doing that. But yeah, okay. So I agree. I mean, it's just ridiculous if they're not allowing the ivermectin to take effect, and it's just outright ridiculous. Well, look, we've been about 47 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. You guys take care. Guys, get some rest. Thanks for everybody who's tuned in. We had a long live stream with a lot of participation. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And thanks for the 3 likes right here. And hope everybody's doing well. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.